Hey everyone, I just want to do a quick video here. I extracted this from my recently released visual perks guide pertaining to the arrows and the arrow perks, which I believe could use a little bit of reworking on them. So understand this is just a condensed, shortened down version of what I went through all the testing on. If you want to see the full version, please go to the perks video and check out the appropriate sections that pertain to this video here. But without further ado, let's get into the testing and then I'll conclude again with what I think should be fixed in it here. Bold draw will allow you to hold a pulled bow longer before fatigue will set in. These are the bows and their positions I will be using for the next sequence of tests. Here I wanted to test out the difference between a 50, 60, 65, and 70 pound draw bows. Technically, the 70 should drop out first, followed by the 65, followed by the 60, and finally the 50 because of how much strength requires to hold each bow. You get exhausted quicker. What you'll see here, though, is that doesn't happen. Same thing with putting 1 point in. All these tests will show that all the bows are effectively treated the same, regardless of the draw strength on them. I think this is kind of incorrect, and I think it could require a little bit of work as far as on the bows are concerned, because I believe that with a higher draw bow, higher poundage bow, you will get more tired quicker than you would on a less poundage bow. Effectively, like I said, allowing you to hold on to the less pound bow longer before the fatigue sets in. I think this is kind of a fault in the game mechanics right now, but they're taking into consideration that all bows are treated equally. Whether or not it's based upon the 70-pound bow or based upon the 50-pound bow, they're all treated exactly the same. This will actually affect some future testing I'll be doing as well when I get to it, and I'll address those as they arise. The last ability, pumping iron, is one of the most difficult things I've had to test out. And there's going to be a lot to this category to show you. I did a lot of my testing on Bison here on Hirschfelden to test out the aspects of what this ability is supposed to do for you. This is the first of the two Bison I just shot. When you're equipped with the proper grained arrows, in this case the 600 or the proper bolts, taking down a Bison is not really an issue. You can see it does a lot of penetration. Here's the second one that I just took down as well, and you'll see that it also penetrates quite heavily into it. These obviously were close range shots. But here's one I shot at a long distance and still had the same amount of penetration, and you could see the range up there on yards. Taking this into consideration, I wanted to test out the various different poundage of bows. In this case, it was the 50-pound recurve. I tested this several different times, and you can see, depending on the range, it still had a lot of penetration, no matter if it was a short distance or long distances. I did this as a baseline to set an example for the future tests that you're about to see as well. Here I did the same tests again with the Bear Claw Light, which is a 60-pound bow. You can see that it has the same penetrations it looks like as the 50-pound recurve. Didn't seem like it got any different effect. And finally, I tried out the 70-pound Hawk Edge as well. Again, you can see lots of good penetration. Didn't matter on the range. Didn't matter on the position either. They all had about the same amount of impact, same amount of penetration. So these were all the default no point tests. Now it took a long time before I was actually able to take a bison down with the 420 grain arrow, but you can see right here that I did it because the arrow itself has got the green feathers on it indicating the appropriate arrow type of 420 grain. Here you see the penetration on a 420 grain arrow. It can happen, it's just a lot harder to do. And there's been many times where firing on a bison, I hit the thing probably about 20 times and it didn't even flinch. So it took a lot for me to get these screenshots here. This next sequence shows how I accomplished a lot of the testing for this perk. Unfortunately, it was a lot of this chasing down bison who are running away from me. The upside is that it did allow me to test out the next portion of the perk here, which doing a lot of this pelvic shots on them, which is a lot harder to penetrate an animal on and generally has a tendency to stop the arrows. Finally, we're going to come to the last part of it here to show you the penetration and how this perk actually does seem to help. Right here, I have no points in, no penetration, close range. Again, another close range shot with 1 point in shows that it seems to actually go a little bit further in. Finally, 2 points also does look like it goes in quite effectively there. Still, I wanted to set up one more test. So here I show the range and I start testing out the no points, 1 point, and 2 points for accuracy with the bows. Using the center pin, you can see that each shot that I place is like slightly right there underneath the center pin, right above the top of the bullseye. And it effectively gives me the mark to hit the bullseye every single time. Technically, what should happen is that because of the increased draw strength that this perk is supposed to give you, that should effectively go higher for each point that I put into it for the same firing position. And you can see that in this case, no matter if I'm using the recurve or the bear claw or the hawk edge as it's about to come up, they all still hit the target same no matter what. So it doesn't look like it increases the draw strength in that regard. Taking all this into consideration, I honestly don't know what the purpose is because you're not going to be using a lower grain arrow on a bison or other target because you're effectively going to be ruining the trophy. You're going to be knocking it down a grade point. So how effective this comes into play, I think is negligible again. So take it as you will, choose it if you want, but there you go. You have the insight into everything. So you kind of got a little bit of my thoughts and opinions about this as it was going along, but just to condense it down, I think the most part is that the bows could use a rework on the draw strength, on how long it takes for them to release from the poundage that you can be using. I think as again the lower poundage should be able to be held longer than the higher poundage. In addition, I also think that the draw strength on when you apply the perk should increase the height of where it's going to be targeted at, as well as really emphasizing the penetration of the arrows as it goes into the animal you're shooting at. But in addition, I think one of the biggest things that should affect that is to take off the trophy requirement for this specific perk. If you're going to apply it, you should be able to, like I said, in this case, use a lesser grain arrow to allow you to take down an equivalent higher grade animal, say in this case the 420 grain arrow, to take down a gold bison and not have it affect the gold trophy rating, being considered an effective and appropriate ammo type. I think that could be fixed. So there you go. That's the gist of it. Hopefully you guys understand. If you have other viewpoints or other thoughts on it, please let me know. I'm going to try to put this out there, and hopefully maybe this can be something that can be tweaked and worked on in the game for the betterment of it. So until next time, everyone take care. Happy hunting. God bless. Bye.